Yo, what's going on, hockey fans, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. So we're going to be taking a look at the 2020 NHL Draft as it's just a few days away, and it's time for my final mock draft as we get ready for the big day for some of these prospects. We're going to be taking a look at that in this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below, and let's take a look at my top 10 mock draft leading to draft day. Alright, so before we get into this video, another quick plug to our Instagram at goalline_hockey, as well as our affiliate channel, Goal Line Sports, where we talk about all things college football. Make sure to check that out. I'll put links in the description down below. Alright, so with that, let's take a look at our top 10 final mock draft going into this year's draft. Now, this was an interesting draft lottery, as we all know, as the first overall pick went to a team that went to the qualification round and lost, and it turned out to be the New York Rangers, who got the second overall pick last season, the first overall pick this year. They've had pretty good luck with the draft lottery over the past couple of seasons. The Los Angeles Kings have that second pick, and the Detroit Red Wings, despite the odds of getting some pretty good picks, they do end up going in that top three, so they can't complain too much. But we're going to take a look at all the top 10, in my opinion. We're going to start things off with the Winnipeg Jets up north of the border, and I believe they will be selecting centerman Marco Arrasi. Marco Arrasi had put up 120 points in the OHL last season. He led the OHL in points. He was an unbelievable talent for that group. He's one of the older guys in this draft, which makes some people think that, he is a fairly short guy in the NHL. He's only 5'10". He doesn't seem like he will be, getting too much bigger now, and that could be a downside for Marco Arrasi. That's why I think he's going to fall here at number 10. The Winnipeg Jets, all you fans out there have been saying, we need more centers, we need more centers, we need more centers. Well, here you go. You get a top 10 center in the draft class in Marco Arrasi. All right, so now we move on up to the Minnesota Wild, and Bill Guerin also will be looking to add a top center to his group. This is a steal for the Minnesota Wild, as I believe they will be selecting Finnish centerman Anton Lundell. Great two-way center, probably the best two-way center in this draft class. He's a dynamic player. He plays both ends of the rink, which all coaches love. He's a great penalty killer. He's a great face-off taker. He's got all the qualities that you need in a center, and the Minnesota Wild, who are rebuilding their franchise from the ground up, Bill Guerin, this is a great piece to build around up there in Minnesota. Now at number 8, we look at the Buffalo Sabres, who, despite not winning the draft lottery, they seem to be in a pretty good position here, because they're going to take one of the top players that ends up falling in this draft, and that is winger Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti, he has lots of skill. He's a dynamic player. He could play left shot, right shot. He could play down the middle as a center. So this is the kind of player that I think the Buffalo Sabres are looking for, kind of a rover player. He could play with Jack Eichel next season. He could even center his own line on the second line or the third line. Dylan Cousins will be coming into the Buffalo Sabres organization, I believe, this coming season. So we may be seeing him play the wing, as well as they also have Casey Mittelstadt, Jack Eichel. You've got plenty of guys down the middle, so I wouldn't be too shocked if we saw him playing the wing, but he would fit quite well there. He was one of the leaders in the OHL for the Saginaw Spirit. He played very well in the OHL last season, so expect him to do well with the Buffalo Sabres. All right, so now we move on up to number 7 as we are looking at the second defenseman taken off on the draft board here, going to the New Jersey Devils. Left shot defenseman, American Jake Sanderson. Jake Sanderson he's one of those guys that you can build around, and this blue line for the Devils is atrocious. They need help on the blue line, and we've been hearing about those rumors about trading Damon Severson over the past couple of months. Thank God the Devils didn't do that. But they could use Jake Sanderson. He has the potential to be a top-pairing defenseman, if not, at the very least, a top-4 defenseman, playing in those top 2 pairs. For this Devils team in particular, they really need the depth there. What do they always say? Defense wins championships. You can't win the championships if you don't have defense. The Devils right here. And despite the fact the Devils also have 2 other first-round picks, So they could use forwards to build up their depth up front with those 2 picks. So now we move up to number 6 at the Anaheim Ducks, and Bob Murray, known for taking those Swedish guys in the draft, and I don't think that will be changing this year, as they're going to take the talented right wing shot Swedish forward Lucas Raymond. Lucas Raymond is a great addition for the Anaheim Ducks. Explosive offensive abilities. He's got a great shot, great hockey IQ, able to read plays to get more goals, and the Anaheim Ducks could sure use that as they continue to age. He would be a great player to play along Rickard Rakell, I think, there with the Anaheim Ducks. 2 very speedy players. That would really help the Anaheim Ducks in their rebuild, and I think Bob Murray, knowing his draft history, he's going to take the Swedish forward. So now we move up into the top 5. So we're going to see the Ottawa Senators twice up here with that very nice, good-looking logo that they've got going on there in Ottawa. Hello. But also, they're going to be taking the right shot defenseman, the best defenseman in this year's draft class, right shot defenseman playing with the OHL's Erie Otters, Jamie Drysdale. Jamie Drysdale is an easy choice at number 5 for the Ottawa Senators. He's the best D-man in the draft. He's got great offensive capabilities. He reminds a lot of scouts to Jake Gardiner up in Carolina. He's a very solid defenseman, and I think a lot of people, the issue with a guy like Jamie Drysdale that you may see is his lack of defensive accountability. He is not the best two-way defenseman. He's much more offensive-minded. He'll be great on the power play. He moves up on the play, kind of like a Victor Hedman-esque. You're going to see him below the dots, trying to create pressure on the defense and the forwards of the opponent. But that could come back to bite him just because of his lack of defensive ability. So that could be something to keep in mind. But I think the Ottawa Senators, they like their defensemen. We're still waiting to see Eric Brandstrom develop for the Ottawa Senators, but you've already seen what Thomas Chabot has become. You've seen some of those other guys that have continued to come up through the system for the Ottawa Senators on the blue line. Max Loha, those are guys we're going to keep an eye on there in Ottawa. So now we move up to number 4, Steve Yzerman, moving up 2 spots from last year. So they didn't get the first overall pick like I think a lot of Red Wings fans were hoping for, but they still get a pretty solid pick here at number 4, and I believe they will be taking, a lot of people have this guy going later, between 7 and 15 in this year's draft. I think he'll be going at number 4 here. We know that Steve Yzerman takes his man, even if, we saw what he did with Seider last year, going up and above, maybe picking him earlier than people would expect, and I think we're going to see that here with Steve Yzerman, right winger, Alexander Holtz. Now, Alexander Holtz has really developed. This is a guy to keep an eye on. He's probably the best goal scorer in this year's draft, other than Alexis Lafreniere. He has a lethal shot, lots of goal scoring upside, and I think the Detroit Red Wings desperately need that. And he's been playing in Djurgården out in the SHL the last couple of seasons, and he's been very solid as an underager. This is a guy to keep an eye on. Alexander Holtz already playing men at this point in the SHL. So Alexander Holtz, I think, could go at number 4 to the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings really have their pick of the litter between 4 and 10. In terms of the prospects, I think he's going to go with Alexander Holtz. So at number 3, now the top 3 gets a little bit easier because we've seen 2 and 3 here and there kind of switch back and forth, and at number 1, it's been all the same. So at number 3, we see the Ottawa Senators. They picked up their defenseman with that right shot defenseman, Jamie Drysdale, at the 5th spot, and at the 3rd spot, they're going to take Tim Stützle. Stützle is a dynamic offensive talent with speed. He is going to be ready to play in the NHL next season. He's a little bit on the shorter side, but the German is very primed for a good NHL career. Leon Draisaitl, a lot of comparisons to him being German and the way he plays the game. A very exciting piece that could be added to the Ottawa Senators. Yes, they've been bad the last couple of years, but they may finally get rewarded for that with this 3rd and 5th overall pick this year. This is a game changer for the Ottawa Senators. Not to mention those new threads that I'm hoping to see at the draft. So we'll be eventually talking about that later this week. So now we're up at the top 2. As now that Stützle is gone, you could probably assume we're going to be going with Hulk, the 6'4" OHL Sudbury Wolves center, Quinton Byfield. Quinton Byfield is a dominant player with skill and speed. Reminds a lot of people of Anze Kopitar, Evgeny Malkin. He is a very dynamic player, and who better than to play with Anze Kopitar in LA with the Los Angeles Kings? I think that's the kind of player that the Los Angeles Kings will be looking to add to their roster as they continue this rebuild/retool. Quinton Byfield can play next season. He will be ready to go. He's got the NHL size. Expect him to make a difference in this year. And call me crazy, but this could be the kid that wins the Calder Trophy this season based off of his readiness for the NHL. I love what Alexis Lafreniere brings, but Quinton Byfield, by far and away, this is going to be tough competition for the Calder Trophy next year. So that means we are at the #1 draft pick. It kills me as a New York Islander fan to say, but the New York Rangers will absolutely be laughing their way up to the draft board as they went to the playoffs in the qualification round. They have their starting goaltender situation set up, a great backup in Georgiev. They're building that blue line. They've got a couple of great talents, a second overall pick last year in Capo Caco. And to cap it all off, they're going to take the Quebec native playing in the QMJHL with the Rimouski Oceanics, Alexis Lafreniere. Lafreniere is the consensus top pick for the past couple of seasons in the 2020 NHL Draft Class. This is a no-brainer for the New York Rangers. They're going to take the best player and run away with it. They are going to have a stacked offense. You've got Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Capo Caco, Filipino as he continues to develop. And then Alexis Lafreniere just to top it off, right? So the New York Rangers, this is a great draft for them. They are the winners because they get the first overall pick and they get the best players. So let me know in the comments section down below. What do you think of my top 10 here heading into the final mock draft for the draft later this week? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.